Hey there. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to eat at an 1,000 calorie or more deficit and still be satisfied and very full by the end of every day. So, a lot of dieters on YouTube, whether they're bodybuilders or whether they're people just trying to lean down, will often perform diets that put their body into a stress situation and, inadvertently damage their health a little bit. At the same time, they're feeling depleted, fatigued, and hungry every single day. Now, if you've heard about the ketogenic diet, which is going to be part of this video, you're going to learn some new things about the keto diet because people will tell you that you feel fuller and people will tell you that your appetite's going to be lower. However, this video is going to go an extra level in depth on how to actually use certain strategies to not only make yourself feel full on any diet, but predominantly the keto diet, and how you can actually eat at a 1,000 calorie or more calorie deficit and still leave your body with as much nutrients as it needs without sacrificing your health and your energy and your lifestyle. So the main point to start off with is there's going to be some strategic tools in this video, predominantly fasting and keto dieting. And I recommend that as far as the fasting goes, because that's going to be a big part of this, right? If you want to have a diet in place that makes you feel good, but predominantly full, fasting is going to be a key point here. So intermittent fasting, which is basically not eating for a period of time, anytime after 6 hours after a meal, your body hops into the fasted state, give or take 6 hours. Now, the fasted state is going to be a more fat-burning state. However, it's not always fat-burning, especially if you have fuel in your gut. However, I'll show you this little graph here. So these red spikes here indicate your meals. And yes, I'm not going to throw this clip on the video. I'd rather just talk about it. So basically, if you have those green zones, those are your fat-burning zones. So when your insulin is spiked, what's going to happen is your body is going to not be in a fat-burning state. And that's because right after you eat, your body is trying to flush those nutrients into your muscles and perhaps even store some as body fat. And that graph I just showed you is what it looks like when you actually eat 2 meals a day. And compared to the typical diet where every time you eat food, you have these spikes going on and very minimal fat burning occurring down here. Most of it for people ends up being in their sleep, because that is the biggest fasted portion of their day. Now, as far as actual fat loss occurring during that period, your diet is going to affect how much your body actually uses its own fat. So if you're ketogenic, your body is going to be, of course, burning more fat during that time period. However, fasting will still offer some benefits in terms of fat burning, especially if you start doing your exercise in the morning after a fast. So no one really eats while they sleep. So basically, that's a big point about the strategic use of intermittent fasting. Now, a lot of the other points about fasting are going to come from how it relates to keto. So as far as keto dieting, you're going to want to keep your keto diet, in this case, very fat and protein dominant. So of course, low carbs is a big part of keto, and a lot of people will tell you that you need to have high fats and low protein. That's not necessarily true. I've talked about that in other videos, and I basically beat it with a hammer every video. But as far as it comes for feeling full, fat and protein are going to be the biggest drivers of what keeps you full throughout the day, both of which are very satiating. So at the same time, the flip side of the coin is eating very low carbs. So that means even dropping out the Quest bar per day that you would have on a keto diet, or dropping out the other sources of carbs that you can get through sacrificing certain foods. If you drop those carbs very low to the point where they're basically under 20 grams total or so, if you drop it very low, you're going to also have, in addition to the satiating effects of fat and protein, you're going to have a very favorable blood sugar and insulin craving control response. So what I mean by that is, at the same time you're filling yourselves up with filling foods, reducing the carbs to a very, very low level, almost zero basically, is going to go a very long way for lowering your overall blood sugar spikes throughout the day, and additionally your resting insulin and blood sugar that's flowing through your veins every day throughout the day. So If you lower the carbs, your blood sugar response is going to be a lot less inducive of hunger because you're not spiking your insulin and blood sugar as much, yet you're still filling your body up with foods and nutrients, and at the same time you're not going to be having any sort of conflict from the carbs you're eating. So people will often tell you that too much protein will turn into glycogen, which isn't necessarily true, but the point is, if you're going to have very high fats and high proteins, you're going to want the carbohydrates to be as low as possible, because when you are trying to stay as full as possible, towards the depleted part of the diet and towards the tail end of the diet, you're definitely going to want those carbs to be lower and those fats and proteins to be the predominant mix. So to show you what that actually looks like, I have my food from here today, and I've actually only had one meal. I'm going to have another meal, so a 2 meal a day plan today. And my macronutrients for the day look like this. So the blue being carbs, the green being protein, and the red being fat. So what we got here is we got a 35 to 60 split of fat and protein. So 35 being protein, 60 being fat. And only 3% of my total calories coming from carbs for the day so far. I'm going to have another meal, and I'm actually about to do that right after I film this video. But I'm going to explain to you what this actually means if you follow this approach. So you don't need to worry about any losing fat loss benefits from having 35% of your calories as protein for today, because some days I go higher, some days I go lower. But because all that matters is the amount, is that you're in ketosis at the same time you're in a calorie deficit. So if your blood ketones aren't at 3.0, it doesn't matter. As long as you're in ketosis, you are set, and as long as you have that calorie deficit. So additionally, any sort of advent to ketone production will be mitigated if you drop those carbs lower, as I recommended a minute ago. So if you drop those carbs even lower, you don't need to worry about the insulinogenic effects of protein in your diet, because at the end of the day, eating anything is going to raise your insulin and your blood sugars, but having your insulin spikes come from mostly protein in your meals opposed to carbs is going to go a lot longer in your favor than, you know, having 20% protein but still having 10% carbs that day. So carbs are obviously going to have a more insulinogenic effect in your body, but if you drop those carbs and keep those proteins high, it's not a problem, because at the end of the day, carbs are always going to raise your blood sugar more than proteins will. And of course, proteins will keep you fuller. So my actual food for the day looks like this. So I have my my steak. I ate some steak today. I ate some a little bit of creamer and butter in my coffee today. I normally never do that, but I just felt like experimenting today with some fats. I had an omelet, and I had a little keto pancake I like to make with eggs and almond flour and a little bit of protein powder sprinkled on top. And I had some BCAAs with some pre-workout, stevia based, at my workout today. And I also had some MCTs, a tablespoon of that, before my workout. So most of my diet so far today has been fats and proteins. And basically, when you keep it this way, it's going to be very positive for retaining your muscle, because you're going to have higher ketone production and also a good amount of amino acids in your blood. So as far as actually suppressing your appetite, besides the fact that we have the appetite suppressing effects of filling foods and lower carbs, like really low carbs, you need to keep in mind that the best appetite suppressant is actually keeping your body satisfied. Your body's always going to be hungry when you're not giving it enough energy, and energy is the main component here. When your body has access to ketones, it's obviously going to be more satisfied, especially if you're fat adapted in keto, which takes place after around a month of doing the diet. Now, when you combine that with fasting the reason intermittent fasting works for people is because A, your body gets better at it over time, but actually A being ketone production, B being that your body gets better at it over time. So intermittent fasting, towards the end of a longer fast, your body's going to start producing more ketone bodies, and ketone bodies do have an appetite suppressing effect. And one thing you'll notice if you've ever taken ketone supplements is that your appetite really drops for a while, and you can actually use it as an appetite suppressant if you are even going to be doing keto or not doing keto. It really doesn't matter. It still always will have an appetite suppressing effect, because that is the nature of ketones. And when your body is producing those ketones, which will be much more conducive if you lower the carbs, keep your fats and proteins high, what's going to happen is you're going to have a big blunt to your appetite. And of course, with the fasting that simulates that, think of it more as a buffer, because it'll basically buffer you between meals, increase that fat burning effect after every meal. And also, if you combine it with ketogenic diets, it's going to mean that you're producing more ketones during that time, especially if you're exercising. So fasting is a key component here. However, if you do it without the keto diet, you are going to be producing a slight amount of ketones, and yes, there are other benefits that come from fasting that aren't just ketogenic. However, if you combine it with a ketogenic diet, you're actually going to feel you're going to notice a lot more of those fat burning effects in terms of your net weight loss over a period of time. But you're also going to be getting more out of your appetite suppressing effects, because when you're actually fasting, you are going to be using more ketones during the fast, which means that you'll be fuller during that fast. So a large part of your day is, even if you're not eating food, because you're in the fasted state and your appetite drops a little bit during that time period, the net result of having keto and fasting means that you're going to get a lot more out of your fast, and you're basically not going to be hungry until you start eating. So from that point on, then you're going to fill all of your meals with nutritious food. So in addition to that, the whole strategic use of fasting is a big component, and you do want to structure it around your day. So you want to be doing the fasting portion of your day while you're trying to do productive activities. So, doing work for your job or school or whatever it may be. So that's just a little side note. However, 2 more tips are that for my other meal in the day, I like to make it a very big filling salad. And that's what I'm going to make after this. It's going to be a salad with some steak again, because that's the meat that I have this week, instead of like chicken or something else like that. I have some avocado in there, some sour cream. I basically make a giant Chipotle bowl. And that's what I like having every day. And the benefit is that in addition to getting a very nutrient-dense meal, having a large amount of food in your stomach is going to make you feel fuller. And your body will also regulate some of its hunger depending on how much food is actually in your stomach. So when you have a large salad like that at the end of every day, or in the middle of every day, whatever you want, that's going to definitely keep you fuller throughout the day. And it will still supply your body with nutrients, and it's not like you're just filling your stomach up just as an excuse to, I just need this to keep me full. It's not like that. You're actually going to be getting some nutrients out of that, and your body you'll see the benefits in your body. So the strategic salad is another component of this. Being in ketosis will definitely help, as I said with the other points. But another little blood sugar point here is I like to take apple cider vinegar. So apple cider vinegar is a supplement, which is like a little bacteria containing liquid. So basically it's this liquid vinegar, and it has this bacteria in it called the mother, which is has all these probiotic benefits. And basically when you have this, it has some effects on your blood sugar that actually really help when you're trying to lose weight and when you're fasting. It has a very beneficial effect on your metabolism, but the most important part for this video is that it has a sort of appetite suppressing effect. So there have been studies that consistently show that whenever you have apple cider vinegar before a meal, it will lower the blood sugar and insulin response of that meal. Well, it won't necessarily lower it, but it'll increase the sensitivity to it, so, which means that basically whenever you're having apple cider vinegar the next meal, you're going to use those carbs more efficiently, which means that if you're more insulin sensitive, you're going to add less weight, and most of the carbs you eat are going to go into your muscles. They're going to be flushed right in there, opposed to being stored as fat. Somebody who is insulin resistant will store that as fat, and they're going to put less of those carbs into their actual muscles so their body can use them. So if you have apple cider vinegar before your first meal as well, in addition to breaking your fast, what you're going to notice is, when you actually eat your meal, so that graph I showed you back here with these 2 spikes of insulin, your actual blood sugar response will be smaller. So these 2 giant red triangles will be smaller, and basically your body's going to use that insulin quicker and more efficiently. So you're going to have everything flushed into your muscles quicker, and the response is going to be finished earlier. So you don't have to do that before every meal. I just do it in the beginning because I'm pretty sure there's some diminishing returns that come with having apple cider vinegar after every meal. Like if you have it before every meal, it's not going to do the same result. It's just once it's in your system in the day, it will affect you metabolically. And you can have it at night, you can have it in the morning. I kind of like doing mornings, but sometimes I do nights. And basically when you have that in your system, even during the fasted state, or even if you end off your last meal in that way, you're going to have a lower and more efficient insulin response. How that affects you throughout the day, it means that you're going to be less hungry. So that's another good appetite suppressant. And I want to end off by saying that this whole approach is something that is actually nutrient dense for your body. And when you think about a diet that is low in by 1,000 calories or more, you are depriving your body of a certain amount of energy in the day. And that's why it's not the best metabolically for you to be dieting at very low calories. However, when you have food in your body that changes your metabolism, like the keto diet does, it changes your metabolism so that you're always pulling your own fat, and your body has access to like thousands of calories every day just through stored body fat, even if you're at like 8% body fat. And that's actually where this is very beneficial as well, because you're going to need to feel as full as you can when you start breaking 10% body fat. But the point is, when you actually eat at 1,000 calorie deficit, if you are depriving your body of energy on a carb-based metabolism, your body is more likely to pull from muscle. It's more likely to be running on, if you're on glucose, your hunger spikes are going to be more volatile. They're going to be more up and down. And you want the blood sugar to be stable. You want your insulin responses to be efficient and effective. And everything that I just said in this video will go hand in hand with that. And you also want to maximize the fat burning periods of your day. So when you're asleep, if you're in ketosis, it's obviously going to be where a majority of your fat burning comes from, even if you're not in ketosis. But when you combine the fasting element of it, basically every time that you're not eating, every time that you're in the fasted state, you're going to be burning more fat than somebody who isn't eating keto. And I mean, I love the keto diet. I'm a big proponent of it. I don't think it's for everybody, but I do think it is for more people than what many want to believe. So if you have any concerns about the keto diet, look into it. Figure out that it's a commitment that, once you get past the first 3 days, you're in. And if you can get past that, you can get past the rest of the diet, because it gets way easier as you do it. So as far as staying full on a diet, not wanting to jump off a bridge when you are, in a calorie deficit, this is a diet that's going to make you feel full. If you combine it with fasting, combine it with this approach, do it in this particular way. Because not all keto diets are the same, and there's a million different ways to do a keto diet. But if you want to keep your muscle and maximize fat burning and feel full every day. I feel full right now, and all I've had was one meal, 900 calories, I think, for that meal. I have like 1,000 calories left in the day. Let me actually check this. I have, just one sec, loading up. I have 800 calories left in the day. So 800 calories left in the day is a pretty good, sizable meal. And having that before bed is going to keep me full. I'm not going to be having any blood sugar issues that make me hungry throughout the night, wanting any late night snacks. And another thing too is that when you eat a large fatty meal at the end of the day, that is going to affect your fast the next day. So when you are in the fasted state, having ate a sizable amount of fats the night before, your fast is going to feel more satiated because your body has some dietary fat to run off of as well and burn that as well. And also the satiating effects of fat are going to carry over. So what I recommend is intermittent fasting. However, if you surround that after yesterday's last meal being a fatty meal, right, having some fats in it, like my big ass salad will have, the sour cream, the avocados, and the certain dressing I use, and cheese. When you have that last meal and it is fatty, your next day, your fast is going to be buffered an extra mile. So what I say is have that intermittent fast, have it after a fatty meal at the end of the day. And whatever meals you want to eat in the day, eat them, right? Go keto if you want, because that's what I recommend. That's the whole point. You're not going to get the results of this video unless you go keto. And at that point, eat 1 or 2 meals, whatever suits you the most. And during that, maximize that fasted period. And that's basically it. So if you want to, and also the apple cider vinegar and the strategic salad, right? So those are the complete guide to eating at a 1,000 calorie deficit or more and feeling full and satiated and not like you're starving yourself. So that's my video on this. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.